Hey guys, what's up? This is Shashwat over here from Design Teenage. Hope you all are doing well. And right now, we are over here from Design Teenage to start a compact, master classes for the last 10 days before your exam of NATA 2023 second attempt. So, let's quickly get on with the session. Before that, I will just have a quick check for if the session is going well also. Just we will start the session now, and I will give you a brief about what we are going to do exactly today and how we are planning to proceed further regarding the same. And that will give you a better idea of what all we are planning for ahead of this at this point of time, and what we are planning with all our dear students for this NATA 2023 second attempt exam, and how we are planning to crack it with you all. So just give me a second to check it out, and then we will be good to start on with today's class. Okay, so fine, audio is going good. Okay, now let's start with today's class. So before we start with class or exactly go for the topic why you are here, or what are we exactly doing here over here today, let's quickly talk about that, what are we planning to do and why we are here from Design Teenage to talk with all of you guys. See, as we all know, the NATA 2023 second attempt, which is there in the next month, at 3rd of June, after the date extension, present latest 3rd of June. Today is what? Today is 19th of May. We have exactly around 10 days for preparation, and after that, you can take some of around 2 days for your revision, for your mock tests also. Now we completely understand, at this very point of time, there are several people, there are several students in and around for whom might be affording a course or something like that won't really be that feasible. Now, definitely, we are having our courses going on for the second and third attempt preparation, and we know never to provide you only with the course. So when you join here, it's a complete guidance starting from day one till the day you are not admitted in college. Everything is our responsibility, and that's how we plan our courses. Now, at this very point of time, one doubt which each and every student might have, that's in between, if we need any help or if we need any college admission guidance, do we need to pay extra fees or something like that? See, there is nothing like that. You join once, and then everything, every responsibility till your college admission is ours. Post that also, if you need any help, you feel free to reach us. We always tell students, wherever you are, whoever you are, if you don't know us, just reach us. It doesn't take any money to make a phone call and just ask your doubts, and we will be more than happy to help you. So it's not like you will just call us to make purchase of a course. It is more like your one umbrella platform under which you get all your help. So every student who is writing the NATA exam, or every student who is writing the upcoming NIFT, NIT, UCEED, or any design career exams or so, you all are our students, and make sure you have that same feel. So right now, at this very point of time, what we have thought about is that from Design Teenage, we planned out for a perfect, absolute, master class sessions, wherein we will be coming live around 10:30 in the morning regularly. And at this point of time, we will be having a particular class with you, and we will be summing up all the topics together in this last 10 days, which will help you out with your preparation. And let's crack the NATA 2023 entrance exam. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries also wherein you need some help from our side, make sure, feel free to reach us, connect us, and we will be happy to help you. Now, let's start with today's class. Let's quickly discuss about, okay, sir, what are we going to discuss today, and what all do we have so that we need to complete at the earliest. See, we can divide it in 3 sections. Now, what are these 3 sections when you ask me? We have PCM, aptitude, drawing. We can segregate it in this way. When I'm telling about drawing, there are things related with color psychology, design principle, elements of design. There are things related with light and shadow effect, then your stipulation of particular 3D figure, how it will look, spatial understanding, all these things. So we will try to accumulate these things in a few classes, and mostly we are going to start today with history of architecture. And believe me or not, if you are confident well enough to crack the exam, stay with us for this last 10, 12 days. And we will make sure wherever you are through this YouTube live sessions only, we will try to help you to that extent wherein you will be able to crack this NATA exam without any fear. Make sure you download the Design Teenage app. Link is in description. If you need any help, contact number is in description box. And moreover, make sure to share this video with all your friends, because every student who is writing the exam is special to us. So without wasting any time right now at this very point of time, let's start with today's class and let's quickly discuss what all do we have for you guys in today's session and how are we planning to progress or proceed ahead for that. So in today's session, see, we have a simple, very simple class, and that will be related to history of architecture. We have prepared a handwritten PDF wherein you will get a clear idea about what are the things you need to know. And these are some of the things which will give you a timeline understanding of how the history of architecture went from ground zero to today's modern architecture and what are the things involved in it. So without wasting any time, let's start it. I know there are very few students watching us live at this point of time right now. Now it's your duty to share this video with all your friends as much as possible, so it reaches to each and one of those students who needs help for their NATA 2023 preparation. And let's crack the NATA 2023 entrance exam. Let's make it happen, and let's not take this in some way or so wherein people do feel that okay, we need to join a course, otherwise there is no one to help us also. So just give me a second. Let us quickly just a second, please. We will start on with the session now. Fine. Okay, I see the thumbnail was not uploaded for you guys, so we have updated it as of now. You can see the thumbnail of today's class now. So let's start with today's class without wasting any time or so, and let's quickly discuss about the history of architecture and what all do we have for you guys ahead as of now. So, first of all, let's talk about the history of architecture, how it evolved, and basically from the ground zero level, as I was talking about, that how it all started and today's time. So see, any architectural facts also, whatever we are talking about, it all relates to what was there before and with time, how the people change, how these cultural aspects, the psychological aspects, and moreover, that several places there have been several shift in the people, which shift in the religion. So once these things changes, the cultural and the architectural aspects also changes. So we need to understand that. I'll be sharing my screen now, and we can proceed further. Give me a second. So I hope the screen is visible. Let's quickly have a check and proceed. Okay. This is our study material for today, and we will be discussing from here. I wish each and every one of you are going to get a lot of help from this and will help you guys ahead. So let's quickly talk about now history of architecture, the development and progress. So once we talk about architecture and once we start talking about, okay, so if there is architecture. Now, previously, when I'm talking about that ancient age, the Stonehenge or before that, people used to stay in caves. So never they built their own architectural structures, right? Externally, there was nothing to be built. Yeah, might be they could have decorated a gateway. So to their particular community, to their particular colonies. Now let's talk about then what was there in form of architecture. Why are we going to that extent when there wasn't people wasn't able to even create homes? Then why are we going to that extent to understand our architectural aspects? So now when you ask me this particular question, I have to tell you that see, from the very ancient era, might be at that point of time, people were not known to the food culture which we have today. Now, they didn't have the option to grow food. They used to collect animal flesh or vegetables from different plants or wild plants or so. But at this very point of time, people always have the factor or the idea or the concept wherein they wanted to decorate their homes. They want to live a healthy lifestyle or not a healthy, I will tell. Moreover, like, decorative one, which gave them a peace of mind. And that is what we are going to discuss over here today. So now, let's understand the history of architecture development and progress. So 36,000 years ago, the world's first so-called interior design was done. Now, when I'm talking about the world's so-called interior design, that to 36,000 years ago, you might be asking, so what do you mean by that? 36,000 years ago, was there absolutely anything, or people just roam about in forests? Now, see over here, we actually find the trace of this Altamira cave located near the historic city of Santa Elena del Mar in Cantabria, Spain. Now, when I am telling you this is a piece of information, this is as per as today. So the day when Mohenjo-daro Harappa was found out, that is the day from when that came into existence, right? Might be like, if we talk about 50 years before that, people didn't knew that there was something like that existed. Till today, as far as the latest dates, this is the very ancient, piece of interior design. Now, why interior design? They used to have LED TVs like this back at their homes, or they used to have a like home theater, nothing like that. They used to have cave paintings. Cave paintings made with the pigments that they used to obtain from nature. They used to do it with your second question might be at this very point. Pigments they used to obtain from nature, fine. Where are the brushes? Were they using squirrel tails? Absolutely not. They were using few things from nature itself. Mostly it was seen that human hands, which were making those paintings on the walls. So let's go back to our PDF and understand interior design is the sense of cave painting. As I was telling. So interior design in the sense of cave painting. This paintings mainly comprises of charcoal drawings and polychrome paintings of a contemporary local flora and fauna made by hands. Hands were the ones. Now, once we are talking about the whole world, we need to understand that then if it's the whole world, what about the Indians? What were they doing? Were we just sitting idle? No, absolutely not. We were at that point of time, or if we talk about the Indian interior design, that is found till date. It is the Wimbeka rock cave shelters, which dates to 10,000 years ago. The series of natural rock shelters in the foothills of the Vindhya range in India. They are situated 45 kilometers away from Bhopal in western central Madhya Pradesh state. Discovered in 1957, this complex consists of 700 shelters and is one of the largest repositories of prehistoric art in India. Now, over here, we need to understand that this complex is surrounded by the Ratnabari Wildlife Sanctuary and designated as the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2003. And now, again, coming back to this particular fact or so, that's so you are telling us all this piece of information. What about that there are certain things as we see over here, which are marked in this thing like yellow highlighted ones which you have marked. What about them? Why are they being marked, or what is the thing you are trying to depict via it over here? So now at this very point of time, when you ask me this particular question, I will have to mention over here, see, in your NATA exam, it's not like that each and everything which you see is supposed to be remembered, or it's not a history exam that you're going to write, right? So over here, what are we supposed to do, or how are we supposed to proceed for our exam is there are certain things that we need to know. For example, in India, the so-called interior design found at Wimbeka rock cave shelters 10,000 years ago. These are certain things. Now, where it's located, exact location, then it is designated as the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2003. These are some of the things that we need to remember, understand, and implement in our exam, depending upon the exams questions or so that they ask. Now, let's proceed further with our today's class. So over here, now we are going to start with the timeline on and the civilization of architecture. So we are going to start with the Stonehenge one. So what is the Stonehenge one? So in Stonehenge, see, we are seeing this kind of structures wherein we see post and lintel. So you might be asking me right now, sir, that what is post and what is lintel? I'm absolutely having no clue about it. So over here, see, we need to understand, I guess most of you have seen the pictures of Stonehenge one, or the Stonehenge, when just I use the word Stonehenge, the very concept of the very structural aspect which comes to your mind might be that particular structure which you see, wherein there are stones located in a certain circular manner, and below that, those horizontal stones are placed on top of vertical stones. And now over here, we will have to identify and we will have to understand one simple thing. That is, in Stonehenge 1, we can find a very basic architectural design consisting of lintel and post. Now, posts are fine. Posts are like, something as column, something as pillar, you can tell. What about the lintel? So what is a lintel? Now we need to understand these things in between as well. It's not like if we are discussing history, we will just be focusing on only on history. Okay, so what is a lintel? For example, you have this television over here, right? So once we are having this television over here, just give me a second. So once we are having this television over here, we need to understand that what if, like, if this television was a window. So if this television was a window, we need to understand that this is a wall, right? Now on top of this particular wall also, there are several brick units over here, brick units on the bottom, brick units on the right, left hand side, brick units on the top. But these brick units on these three sides, the bottom, right, and left, they are not going to put any pressure on these sides. But the big units on top of this, they're definitely going to put on a lot of pressure on this pond. And since this is let's assume you are staying in a 2-floor building or a 3-floor building. If it's a 1-floor also, there's a heavy amount of weight on top of this. So how are we supposed to distribute the weight on top of this? Because if we just cut a hole in the wall like this, such a big wall, then the pressure on top of the brick units will just fall off. Then what are we supposed to do? So at this point of time, we need to understand the use of lintel. So lintel previously it was made of wood, placed over here inside the interior. You couldn't have seen it, which used to give a support to the top structures or the top part. Right now, definitely there is a beam, running horizontally, which takes the support of the rest. When I was talking about 3-4 floors, but over here we have at least a few of units which definitely do our exact. It's putting on a lot of pressure over here. That support is provided here by your lintel. Then what is a lintel? We have understood lintel is a piece of block which is giving this particular support. Over here also in today's structures, we see it is made up of iron rods and a concrete structure. Hence, you will see whenever you are having an AC installation at your home. You just ask the persons who are going to install that, please install it edge to edge with this window. They will never do it. Why? Because there is a 6-inch gap they need to put over there. And since the metal rods and the concrete is running through that part. So that's all about lintel. Now let's again come back to our point of topic which we were discussing. Now see, everything is our point of topic and everything what we are discussing over here is a part for your NATA 2023 entrance exam. Now we need to discuss these particular things in terms of how to do this or what are the things we have in terms of HOA, history of architecture. So we have discussed regarding Stonehenge and we have discussed what was happening in the Stonehenge part. In Stonehenge 1, we find a very basic architectural design consisting of lintel and posts. Now we have the Sumerian civilization. The Stonehenge 1 is followed by the Sumerian civilization, earliest civilization in the historic region of the southern Mesopotamia during the Paleolithic early Bronze Ages between the 6th and the 5th millennium BC. Now we have something as the ancient civilization in India. So what happened in Sumerian? Sumerian civilization is actually the extension or this very starting of the civilization in this whole world. Okay. Now we have the ancient civilization in India. So simultaneously, we are also learning about our own country, that how the things happen and how did we proceed further regarding that. So when I'm talking about ancient civilization in India, I need to talk about that. It starts from the Indus Valley civilization. Present location is in Pakistan and Northwest India. Evidence of religious practices in this area dates back approximately to the 5500 BCE. It was Bronze Age civilization in South Asia. And from here we find out that agriculture has made us colonized. Now, what do we mean by agriculture has made us colonized? It's a very simple, point to be discussed. Nothing but when I'm talking about that agriculture has made us colonized. So this is something like you can tell that. For example, at that point of time when I'm talking about the very initial time period, when people used to like go to the forest, collect foods or something, some few things like that. At that point of time, we didn't have the option to grow crops. But suddenly, when people the colonies tried to increase, there was a number of the persons increased. People find the urge or the need that they need to cultivate food. For this, they need to find a fertile land, and that was near a very specific river wherever it was. So we see in one side there is the Nile River, along which you see the very starting of these civilizations over here in India, that is the Indus River. And now, if we just quickly scroll down and if we move on to our next part, that is the Egyptian civilization. So why we are learning these things? Because these are the points or these are the things as a summary, what you need to know for your architectural exam. Now, this is a handwritten PDF. We do not have visuals to show you right now. Definitely, we will try to go with in depth, which is Greek architecture. We will be having classes. So I will be letting you know the time of today's class, light session. By evening, we will have a second class. I will let you know the timing by the end of this particular class. Make sure you and all your friends do join that. I wish these classes will help you a lot. And don't forget to download the app and share this video with all your friends. So let's talk about Egyptian civilization. This was built across the Nile River. This also shows that the agriculture colonized us, ancient civilization of North Africa, unification under 3100 BC. Name of the Egyptian script is hieroglyphs. Chinese civilization 1600 to 211 BC belongs along the Yellow River of Shang era. It started spreading from the Bronze Age. Culture has reached its peak. Now, followed by that comes what? The Mesopotamian civilization. So, what do we mean by the Mesopotamian civilization, where and all it started? Mesopotamia is a historic region of Western Asia situated within the Tigris-Euphrates river system, again the river system. In modern days, roughly corresponding to the most of Iraq, Kuwait, and eastern parts of Syria. Sumerians dominated Mesopotamia till 539. Around 150, Mesopotamia was under the control of the Parthian Empire. Okay. So we have now the classical era to understand. So we are proceeding in a speed, I know. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comment section or make a call and ask us any doubts you have. Because see, we are in a position where we do have a crunch of time. So you also do need to understand that we need to move ahead at a good space. So we can cover up all the things, summarize it for you guys. Everything is available. You want to watch it late at night, 2 o'clock also, it should be available to you. Right? So we will start with the classical period architecture. Just give me a second, guys, and then we can proceed further. Just hold on a second, and we will proceed further with our next part, that is classical architecture. Okay, I will just bring up something and then we will proceed. So over here, now we need to understand one simple fact, that is, in classical period architecture of the classical era, what do we mean by this word known as classical? Okay. So classical means you have seen classical dance form, classical art forms. It's very much rich in culture or heritage or something like this. This is the concept of stuff overview that should come to your mind. So classical period, if we have to quickly talk about, this is the period of cultural history. Also, let me now talk face to face. I will just remove this PDF. Let it be over here and let us understand these things rather than just going through the text. So this is the period of cultural history between the 18th century, 8th century and 6th century AD on the Mediterranean Sea, comprising of interlocking civilizations of the ancient Greece and Rome, known as the Greco-Roman world. So see, at this point of time, why this Greece, Rome, and all these things are trying to evolve? Because of the civilization, because of the factors like let's assume you also know about the Industrial Revolution. Each and every one of us know about that. But this point of time, there is an architectural revolution happening. And if we look at the Greco-Roman architecture also, it's very well planned, very well calculated. And that's why we will go into depth of Greek architecture, and we need to know that because questions to come, and definitely it is one of the most important topics. Will be covered in your college as well, whichever college you do join. So impact of postal lintel can also be found in the period of architecture, but in a more sophisticated manner. Okay. So we have some of the things like, your Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. These are what? These are the three orders we call, or the pillars. In normal terms, these were the three pillars. So these are the pillars that were used in structures. Now, if I have to talk about that, so like, why are you telling these pillars as orders? Because that is how they were named. And these are known as like, Greek orders. So what is the difference between these three orders? This is Doric, what you are seeing on screen now. This is Ionic, this is Corinthian. They do have a form like difference in their shaft. Shaft means this body part. Okay. So one is like thin, one is a bit thicker, at the middle, thinner at the top, bottom is little bit squeezed. But the most important aspect of difference is their capital. What is capital? Capital is this top part. Doric is having a simple one. Ionic is having something like the curly hair of a girl, and Corinthian is having something as in like the acanthus leaves of a plant. So leafy structure with some floral birds or something like that. Most decorative one. Okay, now we move ahead. So don't worry, Greek architecture we will be coming in detail as I have mentioned. Byzantine period. So the Byzantine Empire was also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, was the continuation of the Roman Empire in the eastern provinces during the late antiquity. Byzantine architects drew heavily on the drew heavily on the Roman temple features. Their combination of the basilica and the symmetrical central planned religious structures resulted in the characteristics of the Byzantine Greek cross plan church with a square central mass and four arms of equal length. Geometry took a different form in this time. Domes are circular structures seen in this period. The most famous example of the Byzantine period with a Greek cross plan. Greek cross plan is a form of the plan of a structure that is done, and it was the Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia was a church previously, followed by it was converted into a mosque or a religious place, then followed by it was converted into a museum. Presently from 2020, conversations are going on for it to be a mosque again or a place for worship again. Okay, so these are the things we need to understand. Now, Hagia Sophia, I will suggest you guys look and check out that from being a church to today's mosque or a museum, whatever you do consider it, how the transition has taken place, not in terms of anything else, just in terms of structural aspects. So previously, what was the Greek cross plan church? The minarets were not there. The dome, it was replaced by the Christian community itself, the church itself. Once that has fallen off due to an earthquake. So how these transitions, how these things have taken place, and what all changes have are there with today's structures. Okay. Now let us move on with the Romanesque period, that is from the 8th to the 11th century. So horizontal structures were seen in this period. The idea of big arches was found, and this era has the castles and heavy structures was found. So this is also arches. Whenever we talk about arches, we need to remember that Gothic architecture is the best example for arches. So what do we see in terms of arches also at this, in this point of time, what do we see in terms of architecture? So we need to understand a very simple aspect, that this is the time, this is the point of the time wherein we going to see the horizontal structures, the bulky structures. For example, the Buckingham Palace, right? It's a very big structure, a structure which will give you a sense or a feel of heaviness. And it is horizontal. It's not like a skyscraper having 5, 10, 6 floors, right? So this is the concept that started in this Romanesque period. And followed by that, what starts is your Gothic period. So basically, the shift in from Romanesque to Gothic, it was the shift in from structures being horizontal to structures being vertical. So created by Romans itself. Now, when I talk about Romans, we need to understand Greek architecture and Roman architecture are kind of interrelated with each other. That's why when we will be discussing Greek architecture in detail, I will be giving you the example of Roman Colosseum itself in terms of an example for Greek public buildings, as in an amphitheater. So particularly a style of a masonry building characterized by the curvaceous spaces with the expanse of the walls broken up by your overlaid trachea, what we find here are those horizontal structures only started becoming vertical. This is meaning which I have just tried to convey. It's not literally that okay, those structures were broken up and they started to build on top of it. It was like the next upcoming structures were the transition. It's a matter of quite a long time. Transition doesn't take place like one single day. So, okay, students who are watching this class as of now, make sure you are sharing this link with your friends and join for today's class, which will be there by today evening. Timing, I will let you know by the end of today's class. And we will discuss regarding the design principle. First class we will have today evening. So regularly now, from now on, every day till your exam of second attempt of exam, we have planned for live sessions. One is at morning 10:30 and the other session will be available to you at night 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock, within 7 to 7:15, we will start the live session in the evening, and the morning class or the morning live session will be around 10:30. Okay. So these are the two live classes we will have for the next 10 days. Today is 19th, so considering it from 20th, we are having number of days which we are having is 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. 30th. This is what month? This is your May, right? So 30th, 31st, right? So we are having more than 10 days actually. We are having around 12 days, considering it from tomorrow. Okay. I'm leaving today's date still. So 12, or let's consider today 13 days, right? So 13 days of time we are having, out of which in the 13 days we will have 25 classes. So 12 days full, 2 times class. Last day there will be a single class during the evening. It will be a long session, and then after that next 2 days we will have live mock test on YouTube itself. And if any one of you is interested to write the test on our exam portal, which is having the exact same user interface as your NATA exam portal which you do use, make sure you join us, take the exam, and you are well prepared for your NATA exam which is there on 3rd of June. So now let's proceed again with the class, and to connect us, to let all this know, for you to know all things in detail also, there is a contact number in description box. Use it, and link for the app, Google Play Store link. Make sure you download the Design Teenage app right now. Okay, let's focus on the class first. So vertical structures, as I was discussing, is what happened. Now we move on to the Renaissance period. So what happened in the Renaissance period? Renaissance is from the 16th to the 17th century. It got influence from the Gothic architecture only. Realism was there. It had influence today also. One famous example of architecture of this period is the Sistine Chapel. Now see, these names which are related with the structures also, these are very important. Who is the architect? Who built it? What are the specifications of that structure? These are the important things. It is a chapel in Apostolic Palace. Both to the capitalism and industrialism took place in this period itself. Now let's move on, and we have here the Baroque and the Rococo period. What is the Baroque and the Rococo? Now for this, I will show you some example from Google itself, because this is very important and very interesting to know. Now see, Baroque architecture is a highly decorative one, right? So we will close this, and let me have a face-to-face discussion with you guys. See, Baroque architecture is nothing but this was the point of time when people need to understand, or people had the search. So see, we always, when we are also moving in, see the kind of houses your grandfather would have wanted at his time, you are not looking for the same design or the same aesthetic value, right? You're looking for a more simplistic design as terms of what today you call it modern. Now there are definitely there are exceptions, because there are some people who might want to have a room decorated in vintage style. And that is an exception. But I'm talking about the average mental psychology of people, how they are willing things to be. Similarly, in this point of time, Baroque architecture is the place or the point of time when people started demanding for your ornamentation in their rooms. Exterior, first of all, followed by in Rococo, we see that ornamentation went to an extreme level, a perfect grandeur of symmetry also, and there was gold, silver, whatever they didn't use for the interior decorations also. We will see the examples, it will be more clear to you. And moreover, these piece of ornamentation which I am talking about, this was actually limited to the upper class people, because the other people couldn't really afford it at that point of time. So let us quickly, without wasting any time, see some examples, okay? Uh, Let us see some examples from the Rococo architecture, how they were, what were the things involved into it, because without visuals, I feel these classes becomes like, not at all good. See, this is an example for Rococo architecture itself, but I will tell this is what started in Baru. So exterior design, exterior, these ornamentations also. If you see an old house or if you go to a temple, you'll see the minute details, small sculptures and all these things in India also. This is what we are talking about as in terms of ornamentation. So this is the best example for how it started with ornamentation in Burrow. Okay. And followed by that, how from there it suddenly went to in the Rococo. As what I was telling, this example is the best one. See, interior of a house. See the extreme level of decoration with gold, silver, and everything. This is what happened in Rococo. Now, let's move ahead with our material. And let's focus on the text. So Rococo is known for its late Baroque period or so. Excuse me for a minute, I'll just have a sip of water. And so Rococo is also known as the late Baroque and was an extreme decorative development of Baroque architecture that emerged in the late 18th century. Okay. Now, as a reaction to grandeur and symmetry, it was more full and florid, elaborate style comprising of ornate symmetrical design and pastel shades for limited high class. There is not going to depth of these things. Let's understand. Moreover, silver and gold was used for decoration. Okay. So now over here, followed by this, what we have is the neoclassical period. And in neoclassical period, we need to understand what just suddenly happened from these things being your such ornamentation or so. What happened in neoclassical period? Starting and the ending of this period, architectural period is not exactly known. It's a transitional phase. I always tell. Now, neoclassical architecture gave birth to the modern era. Neoclassical architecture is characterized by grandeur of scale, simplicity of geometric forms, Greek, especially Doric, Roman built details, dramatic use of columns, preference for blank walls, the new taste of antique, simplicity, represented a general reaction to the excess of Rococo style. So anything that goes to an extreme level, there is a downfall for that. This is a very best example of this. So this is an example of neoclassical architecture from Greek architecture itself, like Temple of Pantheon has been trying to replicate over here. Don't go for the sketch. This is just an example. This is how it can be. Things will be simple. Or the concept of simplification start. One of the most famous example of the is the Crystal Palace, starting from 1830 to 1851. Influence of the scene from this era. When neoclassicism slowly changed to modern era, there was a sense of new construction in mind led to the exploration of new architecture. Now, followed by this, what we have is the minimalism around the mid-19th century. It led to the early modern period. In minimalist architecture, design elements strive to convey the message of simplicity, the basic geometric forms, elements without decoration, simple materials, and the representation of structures represent a sense of order and essential quality. The movement of the natural light in the buildings reveals the simple and clean spaces. Early modern period, early modern architecture explores the global interdisciplinary framework for architecture, design, theory, and practice of Europe, its colonies. The site particularly determines the fosters international scholarly exchange of innovative research and education. Three of the most well-known styles of the early modern period are Expressionist, Art Deco, the International style. In the late 19th century, metal frame buildings allowed engineers to begin experimenting with the lighter weight buildings with larger windows. Now, over here at this very point of time, what's happening that people are relying with the metal frame structures. So with the introduction of metal frame structures previously, what used to be, just give me a second. So, what used to be a simple formation, of the structures or like the structures which were just made of concrete. Presently, what happened with the introduction of this metal frame structures, people tried to have more belief or reliance on these particular aspects, as in that, okay, now we have these structures wherein we can explore and wherein, like, the weight of the structures are not dependent upon its units. It's dependent upon its skeleton frame, which is completely, like, doesn't have to do anything with the walls or so. So previously, if you go to a building which is around 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, you will see the number of normally in, like, one floor or two floor houses, the use of your pillars are not there. Now, this is just for example, I'm talking about, like, how did it happen and what all is there or so. But we need to understand that when the point of time which we are talking about, at this point of time, it has already started. So, for example, when we receive television in India, might be the other parts of, like, India, or might be in Europe, or, like, the Western countries have received it early. So I'm talking about as a whole in the world, the utilization of this metal frame, or when people learn that, okay, we can use this, they try to rely more on this frame, because that, like, the structural integrity of the whole structure, integrity of the structure doesn't now depends upon the units. It depends upon the skeleton, right? So with this, the world's first skyscraper was built. The name of the building is Home Insurance Building, built in 1885. See the year 1885, skyscraper. It originally had 10 stories and 138 feet stretch. Architect is William Lee Baron Gerard. Now, over here, we need to know that 10-story building in today's time, it might be very common. Any apartment is having more than 10 stories, but at that point of time, 10-story building was, like, way beyond imagination. So, name should be remembered, where it was built, like, who is the architect, this 10-story building, what is the name, these things should be remembered. Okay. Now we come to the postmodern period, emerged in the late 1916 till date. Goes on. Capitalists like the idea of cost effectiveness and space effectiveness. Postmodernism of architecture is also referred to as the postmodernism or promo. It's an architectural styles that emerged in the late 1960s as a reaction against modernism. Now over here, the modernist architecture which we have faced increasingly high criticism for its rigid doctrines, uniformly and perceived lack of local and cultural context. Postmodern architecture has curved forms, decorative elements, asymmetry, bright colors, features often borrowed from the earliest periods. Colors and textures are related to the structure or function of the building. So modern day city planning, who did it? Walter Griffiths, again to be remembered. Modern day city planning, the father of modern day city planning is known as Walter Griffiths. Last page is just a simple, like, sketch by a student to explain that, okay, this is what the modern structures are. That's all, nothing else. So this is all about the history of architecture's timeline and all in detail what we have and what we were supposed to discuss. And that's all for this class. We will go in detail with Greek architecture. That is what we need to know, and questions do come from there. Today's second class is from 7:15 or 7 o'clock. You can expect the live session to start with regarding your design principles. That's all for this class, guys. Share this video with all your friends. Make sure each and every student writing the NATA get a help from this. And don't forget to download the Design Teenage app. Contact us over the contact number 762-4988-138. This is our contact number. If you need any help, any guidance, and don't fear for the exam, or don't make yourself feel like I have not prepared for anything or I have not done anything yet. Make sure have belief in yourself, because you can make it happen. That's all, guys. Thanks a lot. See you all in the upcoming session. See you all today evening. Make sure stay tuned with Design Teenage. Subscribe to the channel. If you have got some piece of information which has helped you out, do hit the like button and share it with all your friends. That's all, guys. See you. Bye. I will end the live session over here, and let's connect back to the evening.